Well, I'm going to start the recording, and I just want to introduce my other staff. Jeff is Cole Mack. Cole is a program specialist that covers kind of central Montana, and works a lot with educators and schools and then with our staff and businesses to build and create registered apprenticeship programs. Kind of central. Northern tier, a little bit across the northern tier. Lindsay Mitchell is in our Bozeman, Gallatin County area, covers all the way over to Billings and then up along northeastern Montana. And then Mark Lilrose is our staff person. He's here in Helena, but actually works with Terry and our folks on the west side of the state. And then I'm here in Helena as a state director. And of course, you know Terry. He's just a great resource. I'm glad we have him now in that Kalispell office full time, because I don't know if we'd have had your program up and going if we didn't have Terry there full time, since he came on there. So I'll let you guys just take it over, and then I think we'll probably have maybe some follow-up questions additionally, Jeff. So Jeff and Terry, go ahead.
Yeah, Terry, maybe I could hand it off to you if you don't mind starting, and maybe talking a little bit about the Flathead construction program, because they were the first in the area to get that pre-apprentice, and we kind of piggyback them in a way, as what I recall. But maybe I'm incorrect. And anyway, I wanted you to maybe lead in with that, if that's all right.
You bet. You know, the Student Built House project here in the Kalispell area is a program that's sponsored by the school district, and it involves two high schools, the Flathead High School and Glacier High School. So the woodshop students from both of those build a house every year, and then it's sold, and those profits are then returned to the next year's project. That's been a pre-apprenticeship program for a number of years, and has really good roots in the community, a lot of community support, and it is turning out some kids that have some good skills that fit the trades very well.
So Terry, do you want to talk about some of the general surface level components of the program, how long it is, who's eligible for it?
Yeah, in the Student Built House program, they have a little bit of a vetting process. Not every student that wants to be a part of it is always selected. They have to have some prerequisite classes that they've completed. Once they are selected, then they're exposed to all phases of the construction. They start off with the dirt lot. They're a part of the dirt work, the concrete, all the way through fit and finish of everything. So they also get exposed to, the full electrical, full plumbing, HVAC, so they get a real good variety of exposure to the trades.
How long are they typically in a program like this?
Yeah, that program, they're doing 2 hours per day for each day of the school year. So it totals out to about a 360-hour program. They are doing some related training coursework with that through the MSU Northern program. They're doing some correspondence that MSU Northern is providing to them at no cost. So they're doing, the math for carpenters and the OSHA 10, and I believe there's one other one there that escapes me at the moment, but they are doing the related training that's all relevant to that construction trade.
Okay. So Jeff, when you, what kind of got you started or interested in creating the program? Was it interest from the students or employers in the area?
Well, I think I had a couple things going on there. Really just a serendipitous situation at play in a way too, where a lot of things kind of came together from my past experience. And I took a house construction class when I was in high school. And so it's always been something I've been interested in. But when I got hired at Columbia Falls, they wanted me to start an actual construction program. And, we kicked around some ideas, and at the end of the day, they wanted me to make it work with 50 minutes a period. And it's dang near impossible to really build a structure in 50 class minutes. You really need that block class and some support, which the admin, after, asking me to start that program, didn't necessarily give me. Hey, I'm going to pause 1 second. Are you guys getting full video from me, and are you getting any interruptions or?
No, I think you're looking pretty good. You're doing good. Oop. Well, you were, I lost you there, but it was a little choppy, but it wasn't bad, Jeff.
Like right now, it's stalling on my end. I'm not even sure if you guys can hear me. Okay. Are you guys losing me at all? Because now I've got you again.
No, you're coming through good.
Huh. But it must be on my end, but I have like full internet strength right now and stuff like that. So I apologize if I cut out, and
that's
or if I'm missing any questions, just keep firing them at me.
Sure.
So anyway, I was here for a couple of years, and then Glacier Park actually came to us with this school to park program where we build employee housing for Glacier National Park employees. And that's through the National Park Service. And so when they came to us with a fully funded project and also with a carpenter. So I'm like as lucky as it can be with all of this stuff. So I have a carpenter who's stationed at our school. He also does all the subcontracting for the cabin itself, setting utilities, prepping the site. Like he's got a full load on his plate year round. But during the school year, he's here with me and the students. And anyway, so when they brought us that, it was like the admin couldn't pass it up, and they let us change around our schedule. And we also had a breakthrough in our CAD program where I was the one teaching the CAD program. And we actually have an adjunct professor from FVCC who comes here and teaches our CAD program now for us 2 periods a day, because it was a dual credit class anyway. So that opened me up to be out in the construction program for 2 periods, and for them to support it with a relatively small number of students, which is also, I'm learning, one of the keys to success after having a bigger group last year, and this year toning it down a little bit. So some of those successes were related to, there's only one other school in the nation doing this school to park thing, and it's a school in Alaska. And I called the teacher up there, and he kind of gave me the lowdown of what some successes might be there. So anyway, now I'm in this situation where I'm turning my wood shop over into a bit of a construction program. So I'm in some transition, which is great. I believe in it because there's more jobs out there. And now getting more to the point here, as far as teaching woodworking, it's great, and there's good problem solving skills. And I mean, it's an awesome class, but I look at the jobs connected to it after high school, and there's only so many sanding and cabinet making positions available out there, and really the trades. And we look at, everything on the spectrum there: electric, plumbing, HVAC, all that stuff. It tends to pay a little more. You can get jobs with benefits, and there's more jobs here locally in our valley for kids that might actually graduate high school and may possibly be able to afford a house in this valley someday. So as far as the pre-apprentice program, we had a woman at our school who was working with our welding teacher. Our welding teacher offers I think it's 15 welding certifications right now through FBCC. And him and her, before I was hired, had been creating this brainchild of having internships set up for kids to where they, as a senior, they go through they go through the whole metals program. And then as a senior, instead of having a senior on campus, we actually let them go to do an internship here locally. And hopefully that internship is paid. And kind of over time, that started to evolve into different things. And the construction program came along. And we were already, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I had no idea the pre-apprentice opportunity existed within the state, and that Terry and folks were there to support that and bring this in. And that we were already digging in locally here, trying to do our own, grassroots, if you will, version of that. And so there was already talks happening with some companies that were already partnered with the Montana Department of Labor through, local jobs and their office in terms of what they do full time for the greater community. Yeah, I don't exactly remember the tipping point, but all of a sudden I remember Terry and I emailing back and forth, and we were like, let's see if your program qualifies for a pre-apprentice program. What are you guys doing? And we're doing a construction project, frame to finish. We don't have a foundation, but everything, the plumbing and electric, and we're doing every aspect of it. So with that, you know, it qualified for the apprentice training hours. And Terry, I think the biggest help and leg up with Terry, and I didn't realize it at the time, was his connections to not only the employer partners, you know, you need to make this happen, but he also had connections at the college, and then he also had connections with other colleges in the area that we can articulate, you know, certain components of the class with, you know, that we're covering in class through like blueprint reading, or, you know, we do a couple chapters of work in a textbook to cover some construction math and stuff like that, to meet the standards to be able to do the pre-apprentice program. So, you know, there was a fair bit to make it all happen, but at the end of the day, what I'm seeing is it paid itself off immediately, because once it's in place, it's just a plug and chug situation. And now I'm able to, you know, this is the second year of our program, and just the difference of where we're at last year to this year, a lot of stuff is naturally falling in line. And I'm working on creating like a pre-construction class for students to take before they get into this construction class. And I'm hoping to have that on the books next year. And Terry and I are in early stages, like I just told him, but I'm hoping, and I qualified and applied for a grant for propane, HVAC, and plumbing from the National Gas and Propane Council. And anyway, I'm hoping we might be able to even align that pre-construction class to some degree with these apprentice hours as well, because it is a nationally certified curriculum and it's right in line with the trades that we're doing. So not carpentry per se, but
Sure.
At least exposes kids to the other trades out there that pay even better than some of the other trades, if you will, and are even in higher demand. So that's kind of the long-winded version of how we got here, and I didn't even give you a very clear answer there.
No, Jeff, I think that you did very well. And what's been the reaction of some of the employers in the community about the program?
You know, I know Swank Enterprises is ecstatic. I think they've been, like a lot of employers, going for people in the, you know, after high school market, trying to grab people after high school or a couple of years after high school. And what I think the trend we're seeing from a lot of employers is we need to catch people even sooner, right? And can't wait till after high school. We have to establish these relationships and give them a direct pathway into the workforce. And so I think we only had one student go on to him, but we had more interest last year. But that one student, they were just, I mean, he even sent me a follow-up email this summer that was like, lights out, this guy is just doing great. Love having him. So it's an interesting perspective there, because this student, you know, our building trades class is also dual credit with FECC, but he's actually entering the Swank Enterprise Apprentice Program, which is going on with FECC as well. So he's got to go to school for 2 years to complete his full apprenticeship in carpentry. But I guess what I'm saying is the way that this kid came into the field for them, a little more trainable, a little bit younger, didn't have bad habits, you know, as far as, you know, work ethic and job site skills. I'm not even talking about the parts with the cell phone and showing up on time or showing up, because that's the other reality of where a lot of people are at. But so far, people are really happy. We've had a few other businesses jump on board. Oddly, I think I have 3 students who are working for Proof Research, which has nothing to do with construction, and they're not using their apprentice hours, which is not speaking to the point here necessarily, but they did go into our local community and they did get a job, and they got a job with benefits, and they're getting steady pay raises and stuff like that. So it's like, well, while they didn't follow the apprentice pathway, if you will, at least they went into, you know, a job that with an employer that we have a relationship with and who is reaching out and offering up, you know, partnerships in a couple other ways.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I think that's important because, you know, some of that placement was probably based on skills that they learned within that program. And I think that's the important thing to take from programs like this is you're building, you're preparing students to, with those skills to how to enter the workforce, you know, follow directions, show up on time, all that. What's the students' reaction and interest in the program? You said you have maybe a few less this year, but do the students seem to be really engaged and wanting to complete the program?
Yeah, we this year's group were a little bit a day and night situation. So last year was my third year teaching here at Columbia Falls. It was my 13th year teaching, but I got into the program that were seniors. And it was kind of a mistake by a counselor, but they were also like some of the top welding kids at our school. And anyway, at the last minute, the carpenter and I talked it over and we said, well, wouldn't we rather have like 4 or 5 too many students and make sure we get this build done the first year? You know, we'd hate to be shorthanded and leave ourselves hanging. So we took on purpose extra students on, and it was just exactly like the gentleman in Alaska told me. It was just too many people to be efficient. And with that, we had a lot more management, if you will, as a guy would expect, you know, teaching high school students on a job site like this. But didn't really realize it last year till this year. And this year it's all students that have had me all 4 years I've been here. They've gone through all my safety training, all my classes, and they're all at the same point as a result. And we allowed one student to return this year. So one other guy wanted to return and we didn't extend the offer to him. He took it as a junior last year. He's a senior this year. But we have one guy who we kind of consider our foreman this year, who, like, when the instructor, the carpenter, and I are not available, he steps up to that, and he's really excited and was really pumped to hear that when I talked with Terry that his apprentice hours would actually count for 2 years, because he's honing in his skills even better now. And so, so with that, we had we still had a small waiting list to get into the class. COVID obviously had an impact on, I was literally buttoning up my roster right when school let out last year, and I had to, phone call each one of them and follow up. And I have them, they have to submit a resume and an application to be into the program. And the carpenter, who at this point, they haven't met the carpenter, a lot of the kids, you know, before they get into the program. So the carpenter conducts the interviews one-on-one with the kids. And then him and I kind of come together, and I have my cheat sheet of like where their grades are at, and, you know, what kind of other things we've got going on with these folks. You know, there's some kids that maybe they're not as academic as some other kids, or they're not quite where we want them to be in the shop, if you will, but they're the kind of kid we really need to support and get connected in employment and get connected to a job right away in high school, you know? So to balance out the class where, you know, you don't want to be too heavy-sided in one way or the other. So balancing out where we do, you know, bring in some kids. This year we got a couple seniors that I would have loved to bring in some juniors that had a little more talent over these seniors, but it was like, hey, these guys need this experience and we got to get them in here. And they were interested, you know? So a lot of good things. And plus, you know, the carpenter, Bob, and I have now been through the build. We're familiar with it once, and we're able to hone our finer points of the program, which is paying off big time. It just seems like this year things are going so much smoother and quicker than last year, and easier just with the kids and the relationship with them, and having those expectations in place where I didn't have to reteach those to a certain percentage of the class. But they're pretty excited, you know. They don't realize what they have. They don't realize that these apprentice hours, like when you look on the Montana Department of Labor's website, it's like somewhere right around 1,300 different state-approved apprentice programs, you know. It's not like it's just carpentry. Like if a kid decides they want to go into food service and be a chef, or go into something like that, or be a butcher, or, you know, you guys know where I'm going with this. Those hours can qualify for that. When they realize that, and then I show them the list, and they start to ask the questions, but they don't quite get it until like last year. It was like mid-year when Terry and Steven started coming around on a little more regular basis, which was awesome. The kids really getting to know that it isn't just the carpenter and I saying, hey, there's this thing going on and you guys have this opportunity and good for you. They actually see. And then we had a couple students last year actually started contacting Terry outside of class and asking, hey, I'm interested in being an electrician. And we were trying to get another guy set up in the plumbing pathway. And these guys they would come to class on a Monday and be like, oh, I emailed Terry over the weekend. He got back to me, and Mr. Emmekers is so awesome. You know, and I think they all of a sudden realize they're not being treated as a high school student in the standard format of like a counselor, and that they're like hey, we want you to come work and we have a paying job for you.
Yeah.
And here's the, like Terry has this key and map, and it's like, here, look at this map. Here's what you do. Here's what you have to do this. You do some of these, you have to go to school. Some of them you don't. Some of them are on the job. And think about this and take the opportunity to go do something with it after high school, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Jeff, if you could share, you know, for other CTE teachers or somebody that wanted to start a program, what would be some key points for them to address?
Yeah, definitely partnerships within your community. And I think that spans a couple levels. And one is, well, it's a really difficult thing. And I guess what I mean by that is right now, if you're going to like remodel at your house, it's really hard to get someone to show up and give you an estimate, much less show up to do the work. Like tradespeople are just really hard to come by right now. And so as a school, you know, you're going out there and you're asking for them to come into your school and build these relationships and be here. And it's not paid work for them. And it's usually like, it seems like there's some excitement, and then it seems to get dropped. And then it, you know, gets a year later, they all of a sudden need some more employees and they call you again. And it kind of bounces around like that. This is where like the thing with Terry was, you know, we connected a lot of these points through having existing relationships and employers in the Valley that already were trying to get people hired through the Department of Labor and Job Services and things like that. So I think what I'm trying to say is that finding a partnership is huge, and you need it to be like diverse. Like you don't want just union workers there. If you can tap into some private workers, I think that's good. And I think you have to find a sustainable relationship that someone's going to be willing to come back to the table with you on. And yeah, it's different for what that looks like. It's different for every community, obviously. But I think if there's a community college or a college near you, there's one huge advantage. And then if there's a job services, or like if there's another Terry or a Terry in the region of wherever you live, that's another way to just kind of break down those barriers and get it worked out on a couple levels, where when you're working with the college and you're working with the Department of Labor, you're kind of naturally already making more relationships with other people in the community that might be slightly out of the content area you're in. But it's jobs for kids, right? And it's like sometimes as a content specific teacher, you get hung up on maybe what the job is, but is that really the focus? But I think that, and you know, I'm trying to think. I wrote some notes down here, and I think employment demands are a big part, right? So if employment is down, it's like it's harder to get people motivated to sign up and do these things sometimes. And right now there's huge demand and huge opportunity. And so I think those local community needs through those employment pathways are kind of what I'm trying to say can have an impact on that. And I think I wrote down here, kind of bouncing back to a thing before, was some of my obstacles were like getting the scheduling and sorting out the budgeting. But I got really lucky with the budgeting. And I have been talking to a gentleman that I met. I record my safety videos, and then I have kids watch safety videos, and they take them on Google Forms. So Google Forms automatically grades their safety tests. That's just like a really helpful thing for any shop teacher if they're interested in doing that. And just help streamline the program, especially in the days of COVID where kids are, you know, gone for 14 days at a time. At least they can still take care of some of their safety while they're gone. They can do it out of class. But let's see. Sorry, I'm getting waved at for something really quick here. Hold on.
That's okay.
Oh, so sorry about that. I had to quick answer a question there. So some of those obstacles, you know, we were able to partner with the park and have this program paid for already. And I guess that to me is pretty huge. And this gentleman in Billings, I've been helping out. He's newer. He's a teacher they hired from industry because, you know, it's hard now. Can't even find a shop teacher these days too.
Yeah.
So they hired this gentleman from industry to come in, and they said, hey, we want you to build a construction program from scratch. And he had been there 1 year, and he had, you know, got some stuff going in the wood shop, and he was trying to hone in the construction thing. It really is it's a big ask sometimes, depending on how many other preps a teacher teaches. And to throw a construction thing, it's like you automatically become a subcontractor on top of what you're already doing.
Mhm.
So there's things in there where like maybe a teacher could ask for an additional prep period, maybe like the first year they were bringing in a program like that or something, or to if a district really wants a program like this to come alive, they need to support that, and it needs to be a block.
Okay, good. Well, we got a few more minutes. I'm just going to open it up for anybody else that might have some questions, and Jeff. So, Cole, you got anything?
No, I was going to see if any of the participants that jumped in the room had any questions for Jeff, though.
Whitney, did you have any questions for Jeff?
No, I'm really impressed with what you guys are doing. That sounds amazing. We're not anywhere near ready to jump in on something like that, but I really love hearing about what other schools are doing and what options there might be for our future.
Where are you located at, Whitney?
Power, just
Power, okay. All right. Would you, we could have Cole follow up with you. It kind of covers that area to have some more conversations on how we might be able to help you out up there.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to help kids get a better start in the trades coming out of high school. So yeah,
Sure.
Definitely.
All right. Thanks for participating. Lindsay or Mark, do you have any additional questions for Jeff?
I have any follow-up questions? It was interesting to hear it. I know I've heard from Terry and you, Jay, on this project, but it was interesting to hear it from Jeff's point of view and to talk more in depth about it. So no, that's awesome.
Yeah. Mark, you have anything?
In the paper very recently that Yellowstone National Park was in the process of looking at and starting to upgrade their employee housing. So I'm just thinking of that school to park program and some opportunity there as well.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, maybe, West Yellowstone and Gardner might be good candidates. So anyway, Jeff, one other follow-up question. Because you mentioned you're putting together, I guess, maybe a pre-apprenticeship program that might even better prepare students actually to get into this program when they're juniors and seniors. We might have lost Jeff.
Yeah,
I
lost him, Jeff.
We lost him.
Okay. Terry, is that kind of what he's kind of looking at there?
Yeah, he got the grant through the propane folks for HVAC and plumbing.
Mhm.
It looks like it's about a 70-hour hands-on thing with some coursework, and he's kind of looking at that to be something that would be done prior to entering into the carpentry pre-apprenticeship. And so we wanted to look at that and see if maybe there's something that can be done to either tie those two together or to make a new standalone pre-apprenticeship for the HVAC and plumbing.
Okay. All right. Well, Terry, I'm sorry we lost Jeff, but please share our thanks with him for participating today, taking the time out of it. It just seems like he's got a great deal going there, and thanks for everything you're doing there to help him out. I mean, making those connections. It sounds like you've had a real positive impact on those students, letting them know the opportunities that are available out there for them and trying to connect them to some of those. That's good stuff. So,
yeah, Jeff and Bob the carpenter bring a lot of energy to this project, and their enthusiasm has really helped drive it. And the involvement with Swank Enterprises in particular, their involvement in the community in this project has been really helpful as well. So,
all right. Well, Whitney, thanks so much for joining us. And Cole, I don't know, Whitney, if there's a way Cole can connect his email address, we can get to you. If you're at the Power School.
Yep, here at Power Schools. I can put my email in the chat if that would be helpful.
So Whitney, when you log into the program, actually I can see your email address. So
Oh,
if the email
okay.
address you created this account on is correct, then I'll just reach out to you on that.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Well, I think that concludes our half-hour session. So thanks, everybody. Cole, I'll get this video transferred and I'll upload it then with that YouTube link. And then Mark, I think you can just log on at 2:30. What I did yesterday is I just logged into the meeting and kept the window open and just continued to see if anybody else might log in to have some additional questions. So,
Sure.
all
And
right.
I'll be available 2:30 to 5.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
Thank you.
for
Thanks.
setting us up.
you bet.
Thank you.